Hi, everyone. All right. So I think we're going to get started. First and foremost, thank you so much for being here this evening or today. It's truly so great that so many people were able to show up to tonight. Um, it is finally July, so we are exactly 2 months away from welcoming you to our campus, and we couldn't be more excited. Naturally, the next step is to register for classes. So that's what tonight is going to be all about, how to register. Hopefully, we'll be able to answer all of your questions and problem solve, and you will be able to start building your perfect schedule for your first year. My name is Brenna, and I am a recruiter at St. FX. I recruit in Western and Northern Canada, so I might be familiar to a couple of you. I definitely recognize a few names in the list of attendees tonight. I am luckily not joined, I'm luckily not by myself tonight. I am joined by a couple of fantastic people as well. So um, I am here with Suzanne Russell, who is one of our wonderful academic advisors. Suzanne and her team of advisors work really closely with the students at St. FX. So you'll get to know her very well over the course of your entire time with us. They make sure that you are on track to graduating. They will make sure that you are taking the right classes to get that degree. And then, of course, they will make sure that you are registered properly in those classes. So they are absolutely incredible. Um, and then kind of in the background, our IT person tonight is Dylan. So Dylan is the Atlantic recruiter. Again, many of you likely have seen him around over the last couple of years. But Dylan, if you want to just say a quick hello.
Yes, thank you so much, Brenna. Good evening, folks. Thank you so much for joining us once again. We're so happy to have you, and it's nice to see some familiar names as well as many, many new ones, but to see so many people here tonight is really awesome. We're happy to get all this course information out there for you. So tonight, like Brenna mentioned, I am the IT background kind of person. I will also be monitoring all of the questions. So if you do have questions, please use the Q&A function. Just a little note about that. Some of the questions we will save towards the end for our Q&A section and answer those live. And some of them I will be answering just right in the moment as I get them. So just if your question isn't answered right away, please know that it will be answered. We might just be saving it for the live portion of the questions. Other than that, make sure you get our questions to us and we're happy to answer them. And yeah, have a great session.
Perfect. Thank you so much. So again, like Dylan said, we will try and answer as many questions tonight as possible. If somehow you don't get your question answered or you think of more later on, then definitely I recommend reaching out to, we have actually a help desk. It's the new student registration help desk. And so there's two fantastic people working that desk, Cameron and Landon, and they will be most excited to help you with any registration questions. Anything outside of registration questions, you can get in touch with one of the recruiters on your screen. Likely most of you have actually heard from us over the last couple of months. So I definitely recommend getting in touch, chatting with us, and we'll be able to help you out over the next few months until you arrive on campus. So you're not going to hear too much from me. I'm going to walk through a bit of the basics with you, and then Suzanne is going to take over and kind of show you the ropes on the rest of the registration thing. To jump in, the basics. So pretty much I'll just talk about the language that you're looking for when you're looking to log into these systems that we use at St. FX. So everyone at this point should have received an acceptance letter from our admissions team, whether it was through the mail, whether it was through your email. At one point or another, you should have a official offer from our team. In that original letter, it should also include your login information. So you'll have an email address. An email address, it starts with X 2023 and then has three letters after it, and then it has at stfx.ca. So that's going to be your email address. You have pretty much, when it comes to your email, you use it for everything. So you do actually want to log into it now and get acquainted with it. As a St. FX student, it is your lifeline to, your classes, the information that's happening around campus. Your professors will talk to you that way. And honestly, already we have likely already sent you information that is important for September in that inbox. So make sure to log in. To log into that email, you would use your full email. So X2023, those 3 letters, and then at stfx.ca. And then you would use the password. So on that acceptance sheet, you should also have a password, which is a combination of multiple numbers and letters. So on the screen, it's just an example, but you would have your own combination, and you would use that to log in the first time to that email. And then from there, you'll be prompted to answer a couple of security questions. Make sure to write those answers down to those security questions so that if you're ever prompted again, you know the answer to those questions. And then from there, you can always change that password and continue on as if it's a regular account. When you see the language user, when you see the word user, it is just asking for the first portion of that email address. So if it says user or username, it'll just be looking for that X2023, the 3 letters, and that's all. You're not going to include the at stfx.ca. So for things such as our portal system, which we're going to get into, Moodle, which is like our online classroom, or truly those are like the 2. That's where you're going to use that first portion of your email. So the X2023, 3 letters, and then that password that's associated with that email per se. Also on the sheet, you would have seen your student ID and then your PIN number. So those 2 are very important, especially when it comes to registration. That's how you're going to log into our Banner system, which is how you actually register for classes. There's a couple of other functions around on Banner that you'll get to explore and look at once you're logged in. But for the most part, the most important part is that it gives you access to register for your classes. So your student number or student ID will say 2023 0 and then 4 numbers at the end. That's something that you're actually going to memorize very quickly. So don't even worry, it's going to be on your student ID. And you're going to have to type it in everywhere. So definitely make sure. I kept a note on my phone when I was a student, just in case I had to reference back to it, but eventually very quickly you do learn and you know it off the top of your head. The PIN number that is associated with that student ID is a 6-digit PIN. So no one else knows that PIN, that is just you. Typically you don't get to change that PIN number. So again, that's something that you will learn very, very quickly. But when you see, anytime you see PIN and it's looking for your PIN, it's going to be those 6 numbers. And it typically is associated when you're putting in your student ID, you're going to be putting in that PIN number as well. So it's mainly for Banner, mainly for course registration, but just those are the differentiate. That's how you differentiate between those separate logins. But again, you're going to memorize all of it by, the first day. And so you should be good to go, but it's always nice to just keep a note in your phone so that you can keep track. But with that, I'll just leave it. And Suzanne, I will pass it over to you. If you have any questions, again, you can always put it into the Q&A, but we will be answering everything at the end. So yeah, Suzanne, the floor is yours.
Thank you.
There you go. Yeah.
I'm going to go off video and I'm going to share my screen, and we're going to hop right into showing you the registration website for those of you who may not have looked at it yet, and also a walkthrough of how to actually register for classes. There is a video on the website, and I will show that to you as well. I'm not going to show you the video, but I'm going to show you where it is. That will walk you through how to do your registration, the mechanics of it, of how to get registered in classes. And it does certainly provide a recap, a very clean copy of the steps to do exactly that. But I am going to walk you through it and show you a couple of things that you might encounter as you're going, and a couple of tips. And but beyond that, I think the one thing I would like to really stress before I get started is that you're not alone. There are lots of people here to help you. The information that we're going to go through is on the website, and you will be able to access it. I'm not going to go into a lot of detail tonight, but I do want to show you a few things. And the main thing is that basically everything's there and we're here. So we're here for you if there's anything that you might need. We do have the registration help desk And that information, you can reach the advisors, as Brenna said, or the advisors rather, the help desk support staff through NSR at stfx.ca. And NSR, if you want to try to remember what that means, is new student registration. So it's NSR at stfx.ca. And they're a great help for you this year and in the years to come. So that even though it is an NSR, it will be available to you as a returning student in the future as well. But my point being that don't feel too overwhelmed by what we're going to go through. If you feel, oh my goodness, I need to remember this, and what if I don't remember it? It's not going to be a problem. It is available on the website, but we just felt that it would be helpful for you to see it and to go through it, but don't be alarmed by it and don't be anxious about it, because we are here to help you through if you have any questions. So I'm going to go off screen. I'm going to share, go off video. I'm going to share my screen. And and here we are. So essentially what I want to look at today is basically show you the timetable, show you the timetable blocks, show you the new student registration website, and just do a walkthrough. You can get to the new student registration website from several places, and that's true of many of the resources on our website. You can get there in various ways. This is the main St. FX website, which you are familiar with, I am sure, and there is a link right here. And you can click on that. What most students will do will simply go in to into a web browser and just type in St. FX registration, and you'll see there's the Office of the Registrar and new student registration guide, and that's where we're going. So this is indeed the video to which I referred. It's a 7-minute video on the mechanics. So if you look below that, there's a link to the academic calendar. I will say at this point a very simple sentence that the academic calendar is your primary resource for all things program and regulation related. So any well, that's my one sentence, but let me add another one for clarity. Anything you can think of regarding academic regulations, questions you might have about your program, questions you might have about courses, you want to know what a course is about, all of that is available in the calendar. So do make yourself acquainted with it if you haven't already looked at it. It's very easy to use and very user-friendly. And if we have time at the end, I might just going to show you what it looks like. But for now, I want to get on to what you folks are all here for. This is the site, and as you will see, there are a step-by-step guide to how to get registered. If you have not already looked at this, this will answer practically every question you might have, and probably every question you might have, just by going through it. It's not a huge document, and it is very broken up into steps, so that should be helpful for you. I will say that step 2 is the one, this is just the basics. I'm not going to read through it, but it gives you an overview of the process. Select your courses. Step 2 is probably the step that I hesitate to say you want to pay the most attention to, but this is where you select the courses you want, not physically to register for them, but actually to decide what courses you're going to take. So if you look at step 2, there is a list of all of the undergraduate programs that we have at the university, and you will have been accepted into one of these. And you can click on one of them. Let's take a look at the Bachelor of Arts. And this includes students who are in the PGov and the Applied Forensic Psych. It's the same basic degree pattern. And if you click on this, it gives you a lot of information about how to select your courses. I'm not going to go through this, but just be aware that this is here. And so if you haven't looked at the site already, this is where you want to go to decide what courses you're going to take this year. And anyway, you can scroll through. It's really not that long. There's some questions you might have at the end. So there's not a lot of information there, but it is very pointed information for exactly what you're looking for at this stage in your academic career. The other piece so the next piece I want to get into basically is the course timetable and the time block grid. I'm going to start with the timetable and just show you when you click on that. And again, there are so many spots from which you can access the timetable. It's within that new student registration website in various places. It's off of the registrar's office main site. So, however you get to it, you can Google STFX timetable and it'll come up. So however you get to it is really up to you, but here's where we land. All of the courses and are listed alphabetically. They are not by faculty or by program, so it's purely alphabetical, and you'll see that Earth and Environmental Sciences is right beside French. History is right beside kinetics, and so it is purely alphabetical. So it's really for ease of course search. When we look at, I'm going to let's choose psychology today as an example. So if you click on psychology, it will bring up all of the courses offered in psychology for the current academic year. The calendar may have some courses that aren't on the timetable. That's normal. Some courses are not offered every year, so the calendar will show you everything that is offered, but this is the timetable for the current year. So if the course is not on here, it's not being offered in this academic year. And you can scroll through, it's the 100s to the 400s. Of course, as first-year students, you're going to be looking at 100 level courses. Almost entirely. There might be a couple of exceptions for certain programs, but almost entirely you're looking at 100 level courses. When you look at this information, you're going to see something called a CRN. That is a course registration number. That number is a 5-digit code that you will type into Banner to register for a course. This is the course number, Psych 101. You'll notice there are a number of Psych 101s. The section, the numbers after the colon are the section, or basically it's a term that you will get used to, but it just means the individual class of that course. So a section is just an individual class of Psych 101, because there are several Psych 101s and they're differentiated by a section number 11, 12, 13, etc. It will tell you how classes are offered, if they're in person, if they're online. It gives you the course title, and it gives you the professor, etc. This term section is important because it will tell you in what term, first term, second term, or full year, the course is offered. The vast majority of our courses are what we call 3-credit courses, and that's why the credit over here is reading as 3. So a single one-term course is 3 credits. A full year 6-credit, a full year course is a 6-credit course, and standardly you will take 30 credits in a year. That would be 5 3-credit courses in first term and 5 3-credit courses in second term. So that is the standard full course load. If you want to do, a different number of credits, that's fine. But for purposes of this discussion, we'll talk about the standard. And then we have these things called time blocks, and obviously the room is here as well. But the time blocks are just letters and numbers, which at first glance does not seem to make any intuitive sense. So what we will do is show you the time block grid. There's a colorized version. You can go and look at it. It's great. But I'm going to take a look at the white worksheet, because this is something that you can print off, and there are spaces within the new student registration website where you can get access to these, as well as the link that I just clicked on. This is the time block grid for the academic classes at St. FX. You will notice that classes start at 8:30 in the morning. Not every class, obviously, but we start our academic day at 8:30 in the morning. And then we have these letters. So if I were to move that over there and choose the timetable, there we go, and choose the timetable. So seeing the side by side, I hope that's working for people. You'll see that the Psych 101 section 11 is in U1, U2 block. If you look over here, U1 is Monday at 8:30 to 9:45, and U2 is Thursday. So schedule will look like. So it's great to print off a copy of this timetable block, and you will be able to fill it out with courses that you choose from the timetable. And you will notice here that we have this particular course is offered twice a week for 75 minutes each time, for a total of 150 minutes for the week. We also have 3 times a week classes. So we have A1, A2, A3. So those are 3 50-minute blocks, still 150 hours of 150 hours of instruction time. And we also have a few classes that are offered once a week for basically 2.5 hours. Yes, you get a break partway through, but it's once a week. And so again, you still sort of 150 minutes, sorry, and you still get the full instruction time. So for example, E4 on Monday evening, it's once a week for essentially 2.5 to 3 hours. So still still 150 minutes. So there are 3 ways the classes are offered. Just be careful as you are building your schedule that you do not put something in both U1 and A1, because that will be a time conflict, and Banner will not let you register for a time conflict, so don't worry about that. Also, U1 conflicts with B1. So you do have to be careful, use the grid, fit in the courses, just write them on the paper, print it off, write them on the paper, and make sure that you don't have any overlapping times for the courses that you want. I will also say that you do register for both first and second, both first and second semester at this time. So I'm going to go back to the actual registration process. So if we go into, if you just Google portal.stfx.ca, or go into your URL and type in portal.stfx.ca, you will come up with a login screen that looks like this. And what you're going to do there is put in your user name as, your username as Brenna had outlined to you. And for this particular student we have there, and then there's a password, and you will log in. And then you will see this portal. If you go into Banner self-service, My Data is important, but we won't get to it. We won't look at it right now. It's a spot where you can go to get forms and access to other resources that are specific to you. And you can look at Banner self-service, and it will bring you up to the actual Banner registration, Banner user login. And here is where you are going to put in your student ID number, and you're going to put in your PIN number. And we log in, and you are brought into your Banner self-service environment. Where we're going to go is student services. You'll see course registration right at the top. After on July 7th, you are going to get an email that tells you to come in and look at your registration time, so you'll know what time you are able to register. This is where you would do that. You check that, but you always have to make sure you select the correct term. And the term that you're going to be using for this year is full academic year 2023-2024. If you try to register for something and it's showing that you're not registered, or it says that the CRN is invalid, you're probably in the wrong term. So don't forget to check to select your term properly when you are registering. And then we will click submit, and it will give you some information. But when you look at the bottom, here's where you will see your registration time down in this area here. So this particular fake student that we have has can register at any time. And we will go back to the menu. And if you're going to register, again, what you want to do first is go into select term, full academic year, submit, and then go into add and drop classes. And then it brings you into the actual registration website. I'm sorry, maybe a website isn't quite accurate, but it's your particular account for registration. This student has already been registered for some classes, and you'll see the current schedule and the status. Registered, registered. If you think you've registered for a class, but it is not showing under the status with registered, you are not registered for that class. You may have thought you did, but it didn't take, or maybe you forgot to hit submit or something. So this will actually show you what you're registered in. At the moment, there are 3 first-term courses here. And here is where you can add classes and by putting in the CRN. So it's a good idea to make up your schedule, write down the CRNs of your preferred courses. And when your registration time comes up, you come into this page and you type in the CRNs for the courses that you've chosen. I have another, so let's say I wanted to add a particular Psych 101 and I have I've decided that I've looked it up. I've decided this is the one that I want. And you can certainly put in like up to 10 in here. So you could put in, you know, a number of them at once and then click submit changes. But if you click submit changes, you're going to notice that that course that I clicked for, which is Psych 101, is not here. We have a registration add error. These are super common. You are going to get these when you register. It's, you know, you may be lucky not to encounter them, but it's rare for a student not to make a mistake of some sort. Of mistake is not the right word, not to end up with a registration error at some point. So it's really important that you know what it looks like on the screen. So this particular one tells me that I have a time conflict with CRN 52737, which is the political science course. So the particular psych section that I've chosen happens to conflict with the political science course in which I am already registered, and therefore I cannot register for Psych 101. It will not register me for the course. That's a time conflict. There are several other add errors. So for example, I'm going to use one more as an example just so you can see what it looks like. I'm going to put in 50418 and 54424. I'm putting in 2 because this is a chemistry course, and the chemistry courses have labs. If you were registering for a course that has a lab, whether it's chemistry or physics or business or nutrition or kinetics, you have to make sure that you put the CRN for the course and the lab at the same time before you click submit changes. If I were to put in just the course and I were to click submit changes, oh, a break-in attempt has been okay. That is unusual. Let me try this again. Okay. All right. I'll go back in. That, by the way, was not normal. I don't know why it did that, but as with all things, just try again. No harm done. Okay, so I will try the, so this is just the chemistry course, and I have not included the lab, and you'll see that I did not get registered for it. And it's giving me, and this is probably the most common registration error that you will get if you are a student who registers for labs. It's co-requisite. A co-requisite is a course you must take at the same time as another course. So it's telling us that the co-requisite of Chem 101L, which is the lab, is required in order to register for Chem 101, which is the course. And so it did not register register me into the course. So then I have to try this again by putting in the CRN, and then I put in the CRN for the lab and click submit changes. And then you'll see that I'm registered for both the course and the lab. And that's basically the process of registering. So if you get a time conflict, it means that you've missed something in your planning. Not a big deal, no harm done. Just go out and find another section of the course you want, hoping that there is another one. If you find that there are two courses that you want and there's only one section of each and they conflict, that does mean you will have to make a choice. In most cases for first-year students, there are multiple sections of first-year courses. So if you register, if you try to register for one section and it is full or it conflicts, then you can simply go and look for another section of the same course and try to find one that will fit in with your schedule. And this is where those of you who love to do puzzles will love this process. There are a couple of ways to look for courses. One is obviously to look at the timetable. You see the CRNs, you type them into the CRN block. But I want to show you a little tip that students absolutely love, and they don't always learn about it first thing. So you're lucky you're getting it before you even start. There's a class search function. If you click on that, and then if you were to go, all of the subjects are listed here. If you were to say, I want to take Psych 101, the particular section that I want conflicts, the one I was going to take conflicts, which ones are available, or if they're full, you would click on psychology, do course search. It will bring up Psych 101. Click view sections, and there's that word again. And then it will show all of the sections of Psych 101 only. This is a great tool. It tells you the capacity of the class. So this one is 120. The actual course registration at the moment is 114. The remaining seats are 6. And if you have a remaining of 0, or sometimes it's a negative, if somebody's been given an override into the course, but basically if you have anything that's not a positive number in remaining seats, then you will have over in this section, where the little box is, you will see a C, and a C means closed, which is university speak for full. So if a course is closed, it means it's full, and the C will be next to those courses. So you may come in here and find that 3 or 4 of these have a C beside them. If you look across, you'll see there are no remaining seats. So then you can look down and see which ones have availability, and you can read here at what time those are offered. Banner does not deal with letters like U1 and U2 and A1 and A2, but the times are here. So if you have your schedule beside you, you can look to see what times, whether a class that is Monday from 4 to 5:15 and Wednesday 2:30 to 3:45, whether that will actually work with your schedule, and you don't necessarily have to go out of this particular tool to see what courses might fit. If you read across, it still gives you a lot of the same information, the professor name. It doesn't list the term, but it does list the dates. And so the September 9th to December 19th, that clearly shows that's a first semester or first term course. And of course, if it was a second term course, that would read January to April. And if it was a full year course, it would read September to April. So that's essentially a super tool for figuring out what you want, what courses are available. I'm going to see if I can find one, let's say for argument's sake, that I choose this. The other way to, and the other thing is, if you want to register this way, it's super easy, and you don't need to necessarily write down the CRN. You can just click on it, and you can either add to worksheet, in which case it will pull the CRN forward to the main page, or you can just click register. And you're registered for Psych 101 in section 14. If again, you would have gotten a registration error had there been any issues with the particular course that you chose, if there were any errors. So the common registration error messages that you will get are closed course, meaning full; co-requisite error, meaning you didn't register for the course and the lab at the same time; time conflict, obvious. You might get something, a prerequisite override, if you try to register for an upper level course and you don't already have the prerequisite, which is merely a course that you must have before you take another course. If you don't have that prerequisite already, and most students won't in first year, then you'll get a prerequisite error. You might get a program error if you're trying to register for a business course and you're not a business student, or you might get a degree error, and those are basically the same thing, slight difference that are not material to this discussion. But if you get an error, just note what the error is, because we don't just, you can write to the new student registration website if you have a question, but the error message will tell you what the error is. And so you should be able to problem solve it yourself. Sometimes we get students saying, I tried to register for this course and it wouldn't let me. It gave me an error. So we will have to come back and say, well, what error are you getting? So you should be able to troubleshoot it yourself, which is great. They're in step 4 of the registration, new student registration website. There is the step 4 is register for your courses. And if you look at that, there is a link there, or there are links there for common registration error messages. So if you forget what they mean, you can go into step 4 and click on that and it will tell you what they are. I think that is the crux of it. I will also say that you can see your week at a glance as you are registering. So it looks a little different, but if you look at the bottom, week at a glance is here. And it's also back on the menu page, but if you do this, it will show you the courses that you've registered for so far, and they're all listed here. You will notice that chemistry is listed twice. Chemistry lab is listed twice. That's because it's a 3-hour slot. And so we take the 2 75-minute classes and we put them in. It shows as though it's 2, but it's 1 lab that's continuous over that 3-hour period. And the other thing is, you'll notice that there's nothing showing here on Monday, and that's because this is for the week of September 4th and classes don't start until the 5th. If you want to go to the next week, you'll see the week of September 11th, and then you'll see all of your Monday classes that are here. And it goes Monday through Friday. The English class that we chose happened to be an evening class at 6:30. And one other pro tip, if you click on any of these, if you click on English 111, it will bring up some more information about the class. So you can, there we go. So everything's kind of linked to other things. And so it's a pretty powerful tool. I don't want to get too far down into the weeds. I hope that this has given you at least a little bit of an overview and a step-by-step. We can return to the main menu. This will give you an option to see again what this main page looks like. I'm just looking at my notes to see if there's anything else that I feel I should say to you, but I think we started just a little over half an hour ago, so I think we'd probably want to open it up for questions. I want to add one more piece, and it's another reassurance piece, and that is that nothing is cast in stone. And I'm going to show you one more thing. I will show you one more thing. Nothing is cast in stone. So if you decided you wanted to do political science 101, or let's say you wanted, for whatever reason, you wanted the psych section that you originally looked at, you can add and drop classes throughout the summer. So registration opens at your assigned registration time. And for those of you who are not in the Atlantic region, be reminded that the time is in Atlantic Daylight Time. So it is always in Atlantic time. So be aware that your registration time is your start time. Obviously, the sooner you can get to your registration process and start to get registered, the better chances you will have of getting your specific preferred sections and courses. But registration does not close on that day. You can register throughout the summer. So don't be stressed if you can't register at your time. Don't be stressed if you have registered and then you think, oh, no, I want something else instead, but it's too late. It's not too late. If you want to drop a course, you can go in here and just do drop web. Now that's not enough to do it. You always have to hit submit changes. So you do submit changes, and then you come down to your registered courses, and that political science course is no longer there, and you can add something else. So I would encourage you to make sure you balance your course load. You are not looking to take 6 in one term and 4 in another. So make sure you're careful about that. So you want first, half and half. Make sure that you are kind to yourself, that you don't beat yourself up if you're having problems or if it's frustrating. We're here to help you. But do keep trying different combinations if need be. Use the class search option. and make sure that you just be cognizant of the fact that you can add and drop classes actually up to the end of the first week of classes. So if you get into a class the first couple of days, it's not what you thought it was going to be, or you found another course you really want, you do have that first week of classes to add and drop classes. So you have until September the 12th, and you won't have to, and you will have to make up any missed classes. If you add a class on September 11th or 12th, then you will have missed a week of classes. You will have to get caught up with anything that you've missed. So I know you want to be as fully registered as possible by the 5th, but again, you have that buffer time. So don't be concerned if you don't get registered on your registration time. You've got, you know, the rest of the summer to add and drop. I'm repeating myself, so I'm going to stop now, but I just really want to reassure you on all of that.
All right, that was awesome. Hopefully many of you kind of understand the process a little bit more. Again, I think it definitely clears up once you start clicking around yourself. And it's not as hard as it might seem right now. So we're gonna dive into questions now. There are quite a few questions. We're gonna try and get through all of them. If we don't get to your question right away, just stay patient, and we will, of course, you know, you're free to email us afterwards as well, if you want to continue chatting about it. So let's start. So Suzanne, can I direct the first one at you?
Absolutely. Yep, I'm here.
Perfect. All right. So can I select only the fall term, or would I still select the full academic year and only register for classes in the first semester?
Okay, I think if I understand the question correctly, I think that the question is there a, for selecting the term, when I chose full academic year 2023-2024, all courses in the fall and winter term are listed under that term. So you will not find fall 2023 or winter 2024 as a separate term when you look at the drop-down menu for academic terms from which you would choose. From which you would choose. So you are going to use full academic year 2023-2024, regardless of whether you're registering for first or second term courses. And we do strongly encourage you to register for first and second term courses all at once. And there are a couple of reasons for that. So number one, everybody else is doing it. So you certainly want to make sure that you are getting seats in your second term courses that you want to take. Secondly, if you're on student loan, or if you want to know how much your tuition is going to be, if you're only registered for one semester, you're literally listed as a part-time student, maybe full-time in the semester, but for the year you're part-time. So that changes a whole bunch of things, both financially, but also in terms of access to things on campus. So you definitely want to be viewed as a full-time student. So you really do need to register for both semesters. And for student loan, they're going to need to verify that you were registered as a full-time student for the year. So there are a number of reasons that you want to be registering for both. And again, nothing is cast in stone. So anything for second term, you have until the end of the first week of classes in January to add and drop classes. So you can be registered, you can be in the middle of October and think, oh, wow, I just heard about this course that sounds really interesting. My friend's taking it. I think I want to take that instead of course XYZ in second term. You can go in and make those changes at any time. Registration does not close. It is open for the full year up until the end of the first week of classes. So for first term, you can't make any changes after September 12th. For the second term, you cannot make any changes. I don't have the date, but it's the end of the first week of classes in January. After that, you can't make any changes. You can make changes between now and then. So, so don't feel that you're locking yourself into something. And another question that follows from that, and it's a really common question, so allow me to answer it here. If you are registered, and I don't want to use any particular subject, so I'll just say you're registered in subject X for first semester, and there's a second the sort of the follow-up course in second semester of subject X, and you're not enjoying subject X in first semester, and you really don't want to take the follow-up course in second semester for that subject, you want to try something else, you are allowed to do that. You can just finish out the course that you have for first semester. It gets you your 3 credits, and it can be used as an elective later if you don't use it for anything else. It still gives you 3 credits towards your degree, and you find something else in second term. So it's really hard to make wrong choices in first year. They're obviously, depending on your program, there are required courses that you have to take, and you don't have a lot of options. But for those programs where you have options, it's really hard to make mistakes. So feel free to examine the options to make yourself keep yourself open to the various new subjects that you may never have been exposed to before, and don't be shy about trying on something new if you want to this year.
Perfect. So one question that I do see in this chat, and it is something that I'll just say really quickly. Just at the beginning when I was speaking about logins, I realized I made a mistake. So there is where you find your PIN number on your confirmation letter that you receive from our admissions team once you confirm your seat. So there's 2 separate letters. There's an acceptance letter, which will have all of the other information that I've talked about, but then there's the confirmation sheet that will have your PIN number on that. So go look at your confirmation sheet for that PIN number. So there's a couple of questions just asking about, I can't find it. It's on your confirmation sheet. It should be in your email that you applied to St. FX with. So jumping on to the next question. If the program I'm enrolled in states that I would be pre-registered aside from the elective I am picking, is there any measures I have to act on to ensure my pre-registered courses are registered for, or do I only worry about registering for my elective?
Great question. I'm presuming you're probably a nursing student, but there are other programs that have pre-registration as well. There's nothing you need to worry about. It is always a good idea to go in and look at your registration now that you know how to do that through Banner self-service. And it's a good idea to go in and look at the registration, make sure all of your courses are there, take a look at your schedule, make sure you have 5 courses each term. If you're looking for 1 3-credit elective, that's normally in second term, I believe. I'm almost positive that they haven't changed that for this year. I don't want to get into, again, the specifics, but normally, particularly if it's nursing, it's usually a second term elective that you're looking for. If it happens to be a first term because of the way in which you've been registered for statistics or English, because they are offered in both semesters, and I'm not sure what they've done this year with that registration, if they've divvied it up, but whichever semester is short a course, basically that's a semester for which you will register for an elective. And there's really nothing you need to worry about with your required courses. If they're not there, then by all means contact the registration help desk at nsr@stfx.ca and ask about it, but you shouldn't have to do anything about those at all, other than just start attending classes when they start on September the 5th.
So just to clarify, when a nursing student logs in to Banner to register for their 1 elective, their schedule will already be available to them and they'll be able to work around that schedule?
Correct. Yeah. So
Perfect.
You should be able to look at your schedule. Yeah, exactly. Thank you, Brenna. I think that probably is closer to what the student was asking. So yes, you'll be able to look at your schedule. The week at a glance is great. You'll be able to look at the schedule and see where you have availability. Yes.
Perfect. So my registration time is currently set to the time of September 13th, 2023 at 9 a.m. Is that what it says by default?
That is a default. There has been some communication that's gone out to explain that default is to be ignored. it is simply a placeholder. If we didn't give you any registration time, you'd be able to register anytime you wanted. And so we have to give you a time, but those times are not determined until, finally determined until this week. And so we have to give a dummy time. And so we give it for late in September, just as a placeholder. Yes, but it will be changed by the 7th, which is Friday.
Yep. Amazing. So that just kind of leads into this next question. I just want to confirm there's a special day for all students. Is there a special day for all students to register for classes or a certain time frame, or is registration continually open until the starting of the year?
Great question. There is a start time. There are 2 dates on which students' registration start times will be assigned. So you will either have an assigned time on July 11th or July 12th, which are Tuesday and Wednesday of next week. So your initial start time, the earliest time that you can go into Banner to register, will be assigned for a time during the standard business days, July 11th or July 12th. And after that, it just stays open. You cannot get access to your registration prior to your registration time, but it's all of the start times are on those 2 days.
This one's an easy one. What day of the week is R referring to?
Last week I actually got that before somebody asked. I managed to say it, but R is Thursday. So because we have 2 T days, we have Tuesday and Thursday. R is a standard. It's not just a St. FX thing, by the way. So you will may find it, in other avenues in your life in the future. But R stands for Thursday. It's the R in Thursday, obviously. So
perfect. Brad is wondering, I will be registering for a math course in the fall semester. Does the teacher have to be the same for both the class and the lab? Or can I have different teachers for the class and its lab?
The math courses, the math lab is actually usually taught. Now I'm going to just double check something, make sure that there's nothing. And because it will depend on the class, but the math labs are I guess it depends on what the math class is. I'd be curious to know, because if it is math 105, for example, if it's the business math, then you do have to make sure that your math course and lab match. So if you are taking section 11A for the class, then you have to take, like if it's math 105 11A, then you have to take math 105L, which is the lab, 11A. So they do have to match. For 105. Yeah, so they will have to match. And in that case, for example, the course and the lab are taught by the same professor. However, if you are looking at like math 106, which is calculus, the math labs are taught by a different lab instructor than the courses. So it really depends on what math course you're talking about. Yeah, I think that probably answers it. And I will also just extrapolate on that a little bit when it comes to the labs. The math 105 is a great example of a case where you have to match the section of course with the section of lab. Chemistry 101, 102 does the same thing. Business 111, 112 do the same thing, but there are other cases where, biology 111, 112 come to mind, where there are a couple of classes and several labs, and you can choose any lab with any lab with any course. So it's usually pretty obvious when you see the timetable. If there are exactly the same number of labs as there are courses and they have matching section numbers and letters, 11A, 11B, 12A, 12B, then it's usually a case where they do have to match. And if you try to register for a lab that doesn't correspond to the particular section of the course, you will get a co-requisite error and you won't be registered in the course. So yeah, so it's pretty obvious on the timetable, but you know, it won't let you do something you're not allowed to do. So don't worry about that.
There's lots of great questions here. Where, so this just is good learning. Where would I find a list of required courses for a program?
Great question. First of all, if you're looking for what you need for first year, then the new student registration website under step 2 will give that to you. But if you're looking more globally for your whole program, the academic calendar is where you will find it. So if you click on the academic calendar, the first I think it's page 3 is a table of contents, and the table of contents, by the way, online, pro tip, everything in there is hyperlinked. So if you look at the calendar, chapter 9 is by far the lion's share of the calendar. It's all of the departments and all of the programs. So if you go into music, for example, you go down to music on the list, and they're all alphabetical. And you go down to music and you click on that, it will take you right to the document where music is found. So you don't have to scroll down, you know, 90 pages to find it. So you can use the table of contents, but that's where you would find it. So it's really important for everybody to go into the calendar, and particularly going into chapter 9 to take a look at what's required for your program. Whether you're a Bachelor of Arts student majoring in psychology or Celtic studies, you want to go into psychology, Celtic studies, you're doing a minor in sociology, you go into sociology to see what the minor looks like and what if any requirements there are. And if you are in another type of program like nursing or human nutrition, you go into that section as well, and it will show all of the courses that you need for, often in a year-by-year format, that you need for the degree. So so that's really, honestly, the calendar is your go-to for everything. And if I may plug one other thing, one page on the St. FX website that you will find immensely helpful is the registrar's office page. So if you go to the registrar's office page, you will find links from that page to so many things that you as a student want or need. So I encourage you to go and just take a look to see. I mean, you can get the timetable, the calendar, registration information, forms, transcripts, requests, all sorts of things from that page. So I really would encourage you to do yourselves a favor and to go and take a look at that page to see just how useful that is.
And I would say one other thing about the academic calendar is that you're able to take a look at the other courses that you might be taking in upper years and later years. So you can kind of figure out. One of the questions in the chat was asking about what kind of subjects they're going to be studying. Like, how do you know what subjects to study throughout the program? So that's a really good way to take a glimpse at what you might be studying and the courses that are offered throughout your program in upper years.
And if I could piggyback on that just for a moment, simply to say that the course descriptions for all of the courses, now granted, they're only a few sentences long, but you don't have to be choosing a course based only on the course title on a timetable. And in fact, you shouldn't be doing it that way. You should be looking in the academic calendar to see what the course descriptions are. On the new student registration site, we also have a tool that allows you to go directly to separate pages that show all of the first year courses in a particular subject. So we've basically done that work for you. We've pulled the first year courses out and put them on a page on the new student registration site under each individual subject. And so you can see the first year courses there, but but the calendar has course descriptions for all of the courses offered at the institution, from 100 to 400 level courses at the undergraduate level. So, so do make use of those, because sometimes a course title might not give you a very full idea of what the course is going to be about. So do make use of the calendar or the website for your first year courses for sure.
So this is a great question. I received an email talking about the Social Justice Colloquium, or SJC, and I was wondering if I had to take the classes that were listed for the Bachelor of Arts, or are they just a suggestion?
The Social Justice Colloquium and its counterpart, the Humanities Colloquium, are specific 18 credits, and students who choose to do those colloquia, or one of those colloquia, will have to take those specific courses, because you're going to be in a class with all of the other people doing the same colloquium, and they're going to be taught in a coordinated way with the professors of the 3 courses each semester. So it is, those 18 credits will be, or basically 3 courses each semester, will be dictated to you, and you do have to take those. However, you do have options to take the other 2 courses that you take each term can be anything you want. I would also hasten to add that if you're interested in either of the colloquia, the Humanities Colloquium or the Social Justice Colloquium, you don't feel that you need to subsequently, and this is for BA students only, by the way, for those of you who may not be aware that it's only an option for Bachelor of Arts students, but don't feel that you need to be planning to major in one of those courses, in one of those subjects. We have students who do one of the colloquia, and they choose not to do any further coursework in those, but they're very interested in those subjects. So, and they like the idea of having that material presented in a coordinated manner. And sometimes students will plan to major in one of those subjects and then change their mind later. That's fine. It's just if you're planning on taking those courses anyway, doing it through one of the colloquia is a great way to have the material taught to you and to engage with that material.
I just lost the question. Sorry, I really just lost the question. Okay, so where can you find the labs?
I'm not sure if the question is where on the timetable, but if that's what the question is, if you look at the timetable, you will see all of the, I don't know if I should do share screen or not, but basically the timetable has the labs. And so the labs will immediately follow the courses. So Physics 101, the course will be listed, and then the labs will be listed after. So the labs will show as, so for example, Physics 101, the lab will show as Phys 101L, and there are a couple of labs that are associated with Physics 101. You can choose whichever you want, but they're immediately following the course. So Physics 101, then the Physics 101 labs, then you'll see Physics 102, then the Physics 102 labs, and they'll be immediately apparent when you look at the timetable. They're right there with the course.
I'm going to say it again just because there's still more questions about it. You can find your PIN on your confirmation letter. So not your acceptance letter. It's going to be on your confirmation letter, the letter that you received from our admissions team after you confirmed your seat. Okay. If you're pre-registered into a class, are you able to drop it and select a different time?
It really depends on the program, because in some cases the courses are the sections of courses are specific to your program, and you're going to be in with other students in that program. I think what I would encourage for that question is for you maybe to ask that question of the registration help desk, and they'll be able to tell you if that is, and if it's a question that of which they are unsure because of the particular program, then they can check with an academic advisor or with the program coordinator directly, the faculty member that coordinates that program. So I hesitate to answer that more specifically than that. So I would say you should just reach out and ask the help desk. You can do that now. I mean, if you're already pre-registered, yeah, you might be able to ask that question, or maybe just wait and see how it is. It's because in some cases the answer is yes, you can switch to a different section of that course because it's not specifically for you and your program. Not specifically for your program, but in other cases, all the students in one program are in this section of a course. And so therefore they want to keep them all together. So
do student athletes get early registration? How does the registration timing work?
A great question. I don't believe so. And if that is something, I apologize. No, Brenna, you
I
know,
don't think
right?
so. No.
No, I don't think so
Yeah.
either. I didn't think so. And it's a question I haven't had before. So, but my understanding is not. The registration times are allotted, you know, as randomly as we can. Some people think it's based on your average from high school, or it's on this or that, but it's not. It's basically as random as we can get it. And as you get into third and fourth year, your registration time will be colored by your program. So if you're an honors student, you'll get earlier registration than if you are a major, for example, because the honors students have a lot more requirements that they have to fit in. But that's not something to worry about in first and second year. So it's, yeah. But no, it's not based on your average. It's not based on the alphabet. It's not based on, I think they use student number for, you know, for a sorter. I shouldn't say I think, I know they do, but it's as random as we can get it. Yeah.
And all students, even with the time differences of logging in, they're all given equal opportunity to get into the classes.
Yeah, and if you happen to have a later registration time and you're worried about it, don't worry about it. We'll help you through that. We do have all summer, but I know you don't want to wait all summer to get answers, but we do have a lot of buffer time here that we can work with you to try to make sure that you get courses that you need or want. If you can't quite get what you're looking for, we can't guarantee you're going to get the particular time slot or particular section of a course that you want. If you plan to major in something and you can't get into any of the sections for whatever reason, then let us know. We're going to do everything we can to help you out with those types of things. If there's an elective that you want and it's full and it's not something you need for your program, you may have to wait on that and take that next year, but at least, we're certainly here to help you out with the have-tos and what you need for your program. So don't be concerned about that. Students don't end up starting classes in September. As long as they've done their part, they don't start behind the 8 ball because they're not able to get the courses that they need. So don't worry about that. We're going to help you through that if it comes to that.
Absolutely. So we're getting a couple of how do you log in to Banner, just differentiating. So I'll go over it again, but basically you're going to log into our portal site, which is portal.stfx.ca. And you'll put in, for that login, you'll put in your user. So the first part of your email, and then the password that's associated with that email. And then you'll be given 2 options on the screen. It'll either say Banner or My Data. You're going to click the Banner one. And then to log into Banner, it's going to be your student ID, so that student number, and then the PIN that's on your confirmation letter. So there is a difference between that PIN number and then the password that you're using for your email or your username login, just so you know. So there's a couple of logins happening. All right. Do. Sorry. Okay. On the timetable, there are courses that say 0 credits. What does this mean, and do we need to register?
Okay. So the 0 credit courses are for most, if not all of you, that will be the labs. You do have to register for labs. If a course has a lab, you have to register for the lab. You can't take the course without the lab or the lab without the course. At St. FX, you may have friends in other schools for which this is different, but at St. FX, we don't give additional credit for the lab. So it is part of the course. It's a required part of the course. Your final grade will be attached to the course, but you will get a lab grade from your professor, from your lab instructor. And the grade that you get for that piece will be configured into your final grade. When you initially start a course, your course instructor, professor will provide for you an outline, often called a syllabus, usually in Moodle, and it will give you the assessment and what percentage of your final mark is going to be allocated to tests and assignments and lab marks and things like that. So you'll know at the very beginning of the course exactly how your mark is going to be constituted. So the lab will be part of that. So it will be part of your final mark, but we don't give it a separate credit. So it will show as 0 credits on the timetable. I don't think there's anything else for first year students. There are some upper level, senior seminar courses that are 0 credit that I'm not going to get into right now, but I think it's probably the lab that you're looking at. I can't think of anything else that would have a 0 credit for a first year student. So that's a great question. Actually, in all the years I've done this, I've never had anybody ask that question. So that's a great question. So the zero credit is the lab, and yes, you have to register. You don't get additional credit. It shows up as a separate course on your timetable because it does take up space on your timetable. Most of the labs are 3 hours, not to say that every single week you're going to have a 3-hour lab. Sometimes it might only be an hour, but they allocate 3 hours to those science labs. You'll have labs for math, which are usually 50 minutes, so 1 hour basically. You'll have labs for computer science that are 2 hours, so some of them are slightly different. And they will be shown on your week at a glance and banner. But yeah, so they show up as though it's a course, but it's 0 credit. Hopefully that answers the question.
Yep. If a class in the second semester is only available online, can someone who is living in residence and a first year still take it?
Yes, if it's a course, we do have a few first year courses that are online, and if that is your choice for a particular course, you are more than welcome to take it. Yes, you can choose. So you can mix and match. We don't have a lot of online courses, but we do have a few, and if that is your choice, then you can certainly choose that instead of an on-campus in-person course for that requirement or that elective or whatever it is you're taking. Yes.
So the student is wondering for business courses specifically, there seems to be lots of time slots and options open for first year courses. In the case that they have issues registering right away, would those classes typically be filled up, or will they have some leniency?
Yeah, I will say this. I have never known a first year business student not to get into business 111 and 112. So you are going to get a section. We're going to make sure you get registered. Is it possible that when you register, several of the sections might be full? I suppose it's possible. Some of them will fill. And others will have availability. So what we would say is, as with any student in any program, if the reason you can't register for a particular section that has availability is because it's conflicting with an elective that you want to take, you're going to have to give up the elective and hope to take that in a future year and choose another elective this year, because your business course is more important. And so you want to make sure that you are scheduling around that. So you would probably in that case need to drop an elective course, pick up an open section of Business 111 or first term 112 second term. On the other hand, if for some bizarre reason, I don't expect it will happen, all sections of Business 111 are full when you go to register. I genuinely don't expect that that's going to be a problem. But let's say worst case scenario it is, then just contact the, there's an override procedure, and that's laid out in the new student registration website as well. There is a procedure whereby you can request a closed course override, meaning a full course override. And if you were to send that in with a little blurb that says, I'm a business student, I can't get, all of the Business 111s are full. These are the ones that fit my schedule. Can I get an override into one of them? We're going to make sure that you get the core course for your program. So don't be worried about that. But what the departments will not do, and I say this for all departments, is that if there are open sections and they fit your schedule and you just don't like the time, that's not going to garner you an override into a closed section of a course. If there are open sections that still have availability and they don't conflict with any of your other required courses. So that's a general rule of thumb for all registration in all programs in all years of your time here. So, but you don't worry about it. If you'll get your Business 111 and 112, don't worry about it.
Awesome. So a little bit on the same lines, is there an option to take online summer classes or spring classes throughout? Through St. FX?
Great question. Yes. St. FX has although in the academic year we don't have a lot of online courses, in the spring and summer we have 2 sessions, 2 terms in the springs, in the 4 months between April and September. So we have a spring term, which is basically May and June, and we have a summer term, which is basically July and August. So they're basically 8 weeks in duration each. And we do have, with the exception of a couple of courses, all of our spring and summer courses are online. So if there's something that you would like to take next year, you're welcome to do so. Some students are not comfortable starting out with 5 courses each term in first year. Some students are more comfortable starting out with 4. That's perfectly acceptable. As far as St. FX is concerned, you can do your program in whatever manner you wish in terms of how many credits you take in a given year. We have some students who do their degree over 5 years, 24 credits a year for 5 years, rather than 30 credits a year for 4 years. And we have some students who will choose to do a reduced course load in first year, planning to do a spring and summer course between first and second year or in a future year to make up those credits, just to kind of get their feet wet and to feel a little bit more comfortable. So, we're not dictating to you how many credits you have to take each year to get your degree. We have some students, normally mature students, who do their entire degree part-time for a longer period of time, obviously. So we don't dictate that to you. We're interested in making sure that you do it the way it works best for you. But we do have a lot of students who opt to do a reduced course load in first year. And if that's something you want to do, I would really highly encourage you to contact academic advising, maybe make an appointment to discuss the ramifications of that. There could be ramifications regarding related to scholarships, student loan. If you're getting external funding from another source outside of St. FX, there might be some you might have to maintain a certain credit count in order to be eligible for that funding. So you know, it's something you could do, but even scholarship students are allowed to keep their scholarship with 24 credits. It's a minimum. And student loan students are able to still be full-time. In most provinces, there might be a province that still has 24, but most provinces 18 credits. So 3 courses a term, and you're still eligible for full-time student loans. So and not that I want to get into that piece. That's something you definitely want to talk to financial aid about if you're planning to do a reduced course load and you want to make sure that any funding you have through student loan is not going to be impacted, then you certainly want to talk to our financial aid office. But so those are the types of things that we would ask you if you were to come to advising and say, I only want to take X number of credits this year. What do I need to be worried about? We can certainly help you with that, and we can walk you through that and make sure that it's a good choice for you. But we have a lot of students who do it. There's no doubt that the standard, you know, the majority of students, particularly in first year, will do 30 credits, 5 courses per term. But not everybody. And it's not, you know, this is not one size fits all. This is, we want to fit what you need. So we're happy to help you through any of those kinds of questions. And spring and summer courses is a great way to make up those cases where you might want to still graduate in 4 years, but not take a full course load. So you want to take spring and summer courses. And so 100% definitely an option. Yeah.
Amazing. So we're only going to take a couple more just because we don't want to take up everyone's evening. I'm seeing lots of questions about transcripts, so I'll just answer this. When do final transcripts have to be in? Which is a fantastic question. We are getting to that point. So typically we like when official transcripts are submitted to our admissions office by August 1st, ideally. So that way our admissions team can look over those official grades and your final grades, and then make you an official offer to St. FX. So right now, most of you have a conditional one, but we would like to switch that to an official one. So the sooner that you send in that transcript, and it has to be an official copy, the faster you can get that official offer. So maybe 2 more questions. How does that sound?
I'm free all night, so but I know people don't want to stay. I
For
mean,
the
people are
purpose of
welcome.
time.
People are welcome to leave at any time they want, but yeah, I'm happy to answer
Awesome.
whatever.
Okay. So for electives, it says to take 6 credits in 2 subjects. Does that mean I need 6 in psych and 6 in art, or could they all be art classes if I wanted?
Really great question. I'm theorizing that might be somebody in business. Not sure. It's my guess. Yeah, could be. I'm thinking about the fact that you need, 6 credits. Anyway, what we will normally say is you should be trying, whether you're in an arts, in a BA program, or if you're in a science program and you're looking for 2 arts electives, maybe that's what it's for. I would say that you should be looking at 2 different subjects. There's a reason for that. I'll think whether I want to get too far into that or at all, but there's a reason for that. You should be looking at 2 different subjects. It's not to say you can't take more art in the future, but ultimately, whether you're business or science or kinetics or nutrition, you are going to have 2 different arts subjects that you complete at some point over your degree. So it makes a lot of sense to try 2 subjects in first year, and then you will have some of each of those subjects. So doing 1 subject alone doesn't really serve you well. You should really be looking at 2 different subjects. A lot of our subjects have 6 credits at the introductory level, or at least 6 credits, sometimes more. So we do encourage you to register, for example, 6 credits of psych and 6 credits of art, or 6 credits of social and 6 credits of Celtic studies, or I don't want to leave people out when I do the 6 credits of philosophy, 6 credits of women's and gender studies. So you should be looking at doing at least your initial registration should be 6 credits, whether it's a full 6 credit course as in philosophy and women's and gender studies, or whether it's 2 3-credit courses, one in first term, one in second term at the 100 level, that are companion courses like Psych 101, Psych 102, Social 101, Social 102, Poli-Sci 101, 102. So you should initially register for those. If you really like that subject, you're already registered for second term, and you're going to get 6 credits at the end of the year. If you don't like a subject, you can always change it in a second term and find something else. There are a handful of subjects that only have 3 credits of intro at the 100 level. If your preferred arts subject happens to be one or more of those, then you will be trying more than 2 art subjects this year. Definitely take the 3-credit course in your area of interest, and then find something else for the alternate semester in order to flesh out your schedule. But it's better to do that, because all of our programs, most of our programs, everything except for nursing and engineering, have requirements where you need to get another 6 credits in a given subject. So you're going to need 12 credits in one subject minimum for all of these programs that we offer. So it's a good idea to get a full 6 credits in first year. If you only get 3 credits of psych, for example, but you plan to do more psych, you're not going to be able to do more psych until you get the second half of your intro, or the second course of intro. And so if you don't do Psych 101 and 102, then next year you can't do any 200 level courses. The best you can do is take Psych 102 next year. And that holds for most of our intros, where you need 6 credits at the 100 before you can take a 200 level course. So it's a good idea to be looking in those cases where there are 6 credits at the intro, to be taking 6 credits of intro in 2 different subjects. Hopefully that answers the question.
I would say. Clara is wondering, okay, sorry, we have 2 more.
Sure.
How do you know if you're pre-registered?
When registration comes, it will tell you. Also, the new student registration website will has indicated which of the programs are pre-registered. I'll go through that tonight and just make sure that they're all saying that properly. They're supposed to, they were before. So there are certain programs that are pre-registered or partially pre-registered, and that is in the site. And also when you go in on your registration day, you will see that you're already registered for some courses. So that will also be a pretty good giveaway, but yeah, it will tell you on the site.
Perfect. How do transfer credits affect course registration?
That's a great question. That is really a case of if students have transfer credits, whether they're IB credits or AP credits from high school, whether they are university or college level courses from previous post-secondary work, it's hard to give a blanket answer for that. You really should be meeting with an advisor to figure out how that works. And any of the advisors can help out with that. If you're coming from another academic institution, you've probably already heard from Tyson Ball, who is the advisor who deals with, who assesses the transfer credit files. If you're coming from high school with AP or IB credits and you wonder how they work, I think the easiest answer, although I really like to answer as much as I can here, I think the easiest answer is to say you should probably make an appointment with an advisor. If you have a course, let's say you are transferring in with Psych 101 and 102, and you want to take more Psych and your first year with us, then you have the prerequisites for 200 level Psych. So you can, go in and try to register for a 200 level Psych course if you want to take more Psych. If you have, an intro, English course, then you could take a 200 level English rather than having to take a 100, for example. So it allows you to take upper level courses because you now have the prerequisites, and there's that word again. But how it fits into your degree pattern is a little bit more complex and too much to get into here. So what I would say is you probably won't be able to get an appointment with an advisor at this point before your registration time. So here's what I would say to anybody with transfer credits from any of those three environments. First, get as registered as you can. When your registration time comes up, register the best you can, the way you think it should be, the way it makes sense to you. Looking at what's on the new student registration website and what's in the calendar. And, if you're coming in with 60 credits of transfer and you are a transfer student who's already been to school for 2 years or more, then that's a whole different conversation. You just need an advisor. You need an appointment with an advisor. It's that simple. If you're coming in with just a couple of courses, then you probably can figure it out a little bit, how you can, what you can take. So get as registered as you can and still make an appointment with an advisor to go over it, and they can help you make adjustments to your registration if necessary. So don't not register for anything on your registration time just because you don't know what to do. Use the site, use the calendar, figure out what you need, and at the very least get registered in things you need that you don't already have. And then as far beyond that as you can, and we'll help you fill in the gaps if need be.
Amazing. Well, I do think that might be a good spot to leave it, kind of on the note of, go into it, make a plan beforehand, go into it. And then, if you can register for what you think is right, nothing is set in stone. And when you arrive on campus, our wonderful advisors will be able to help with some of the rearranging if there needs to be. So,
and we're also, if I can jump in, we are here all summer. So we have a wonderful, amazing team. And you can go online and just go onto the academic advising site on the St. FX website, and there is a link there for how to make an appointment with an advisor. So it might be a couple of weeks down the road. We're really busy right now, but usually you don't have to wait more than a week, usually not even that long. But at this point in time, you might need to, but make an appointment with an advisor. And if you're local, you can come in. If you want, we can do a phone appointment. That's not a problem. We do a lot of phone appointments in the summer, so we can help walk you through those things. So don't wait until September to do it. Definitely do it beforehand, because we're so busy in September that it's really hard to do anything more. Well, I mean, we get through everybody, but we really want to do it before September. So try to get as registered as you can before you even get here. Maybe you can get everything, set up the way you want it before you even get here. And that is the goal. So do reach out to advisors and to the student registration help desk. Reach out to them before you get here and try to get everything settled before you get here. And then you won't have to worry about it. And you won't have to worry about waiting for answers, because people are super busy in that first week of September. So, yeah.
Absolutely. Our academic advisors, I cannot say enough good things about them. They are fantastic. I've spent a lot of time chatting with them and building a really great schedule for my undergrad. So you will be very well taken care of. So yeah, with that, just a couple of important things. If you missed it, you will get a date and a time for your registration on July 7th. So that is coming up this week. It is super important that you log into that email, your St. FX email, and just keep monitoring it and keep it logged in until pretty much the time that you graduate, because that is how we communicate with our students. It's how professors communicate, and lots of good information is being sent your way through that. So definitely recommend logging in sooner rather than later. If you have any other registration questions, if we didn't get to all of your questions, or if you have some more while you're creating your perfect schedule, definitely reach out to our new student registration help desk. There are two lovely people there, Cameron and Landon, and they, again, would love to chat with you. So you can reach out to them at nsr@stfx.ca. They are open throughout the majority of the summer, I believe, to help for exactly this, for registration. Anything else, anything regarding what to bring to campus, what to bring and have in residence, meal plans, whatever it might be outside of the registration aspect, you can get in touch with a recruiter. Likely you already know who that recruiter is. So I definitely recommend just saying hi and chatting, because we love the next couple of weeks that are coming up. We cannot be more excited for Welcome Day. I'm trying to think, did I miss anything? I don't think so, but thank you so much for being here. I know it was truly a lot of information and you might be at a little overwhelmed right now, but let it sink in, give it time to process, and then definitely don't be afraid to click around and try and build your own schedule. Truly, the website has all of the information that you need, so you should be all set, but we are always here to help as well. But yeah, thank you, Dylan. Thank you, Suzanne.
Thank you, Brenna.
Yeah, of course. I hope everyone enjoys their evening and enjoys the summer. We look forward to chatting with you all more.